welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today we're diving into the world of manifestation, thinking, feeling, and beliefs. So this is going to be a good one because we had a question on our TikTok that was a really good setup. So excited to dive into this. So in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And yeah, I'm excited to have more questions and comments on our
Yeah,
TikTok so we can really address what you guys are looking to hear about. So
yeah.
definitely respond to us even on our podcast platforms. We definitely want to hear more. So um the question, you know exactly what it was. I'll let you say it.
Yeah, it was more of a, I guess it was more of a statement than a question.
Okay.
I had created a video on TikTok talking about how we think and how we feel creates our
Mhm.
state of being, which is our personal reality, which is our 3D reality, right? So this person responded and said, actually, feelings aren't a part of it at all. Like, in order to manifest, you have to have a thought, and that creates the belief. And that's how you manifest. And to me, that's missing a really important piece of the puzzle. Physiologically, it's impossible to have a thought without a feeling connected to it. It
Yeah.
is. Okay,
Yeah.
so like you have a thought and your brain sends a signal down. You have neurotransmitters in your brain that go, hey, something's happening. And then now it's sending it down your spinal cord to whatever part of your body is supposed to create a hormone for that thought to create a feeling for your body so that your body can actually respond to it. So for example, this is a high intensity one, but say somebody starts screaming at you, your body's going to go into fight or flight, right? So now you're having the thought, oh my God, this person's screaming at me, and you're starting to get angry too. You're now starting to turn on your fight or flight. And so your brain is now going, hey, and it's doing this instantly, right? We need to turn on our adrenals because we need a hormone to deal with this situation, basically. And so we're sending neurotransmitters down our brain, and it's now creating this adrenaline that's now getting us worked up also, right? So every time you have a thought, you are having a corresponding feeling that goes with it. So thoughts, that's your brain doing its thing. Your body has feelings that go along with it, and they correlate. This to me is how you get aligned. Okay. So in that situation I just explained, that person was aligned to a future of fight or flight, right?
Mhm.
They're in alignment, and now they know, like, they're creating something instantly. We all create instantly.
Mhm.
Period. End of story. Manifestation is an instantaneous thing. Now, conscious manifestation, that can be a different story if we're not practiced in it, if we're not continually doing it over and over again, right? So, but to me, when we just say the thought is the only thing that matters, the most, in my opinion, and really in scientific opinion, the most important piece of the puzzle is actually the feeling, because the feeling draws it back to you. Your
Mhm.
heart actually has an energetic magnet to it,
Mhm.
right? Like your brain has frequency also, right? Every time you have a thought, you're going to create brain waves. Your heart also has the same thing. Your brain sends it out, your heart draws it back to you. So the feeling is
Yeah.
actually the piece of the puzzle that literally creates what you are sending out. The brain's sending it out, and your heart's bringing it back to you. So that I felt like just was such a huge miss, because it was like, ooh, the manifestation community, I would say on TikTok, there's a lot to be desired. When I watch some videos, I'm like, ooh, okay. I mean, some of it has to do with the fact that you have like a short period of time to get your point across.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that it's like affirmation, 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 but you're missing the piece of the puzzle that it's like, yeah, but what is your body actually doing in this sequence? Like, are you in fight or flight constantly? Because you could be doing affirmations all day long, but your body's like, no, we're in fight or flight. We don't create when we're in fight or flight. We create chaos when we're in fight or flight, right? So, and that's what's drawing back to you, and that's what you keep creating over and over and over again. So, yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, okay, how do I answer this in love? Because I see how this person, like, they want to share their knowledge too, great. But I feel like this is such a huge miss, and this is so important to really talk about over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's the biggest thing is that our brains do only understand like what we tell it and what we accept. And that's the thing. If we're just saying the words, our brain isn't just going to accept it.
Right.
Um, because it's, do we actually believe the words? And just because you say them doesn't mean you're creating a belief system, you
Right.
know? It's
Yeah.
like the girl that's always told she's beautiful. She doesn't actually believe it
Mm.
and it never actually sinks in. And so like there's tricks to help you too. Like I always was taught like snap your fingers or do things like that that engage your nervous system because then it's more likely that your body will believe it.
Yeah.
But if you can make yourself feel that way, then it makes it like 10 times easier. And
Yeah.
that's why it's getting around people that feel the things that you want to feel and have the life that you want to feel. That's why we talk so much about gratitude because it opens you up to way more.
Mm. Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, that feeling like, so we've talked about things like telepathy on here before, right? So your brain, the way that our logical brain works, okay, not like our feeling side of us, but our logical brain, which I believe is what this person was talking about. I don't know, I'm not in her head, but um your logical brain is going to work through words and numbers and that kind of thing because that's what we have understood as a society. So the logical brain follows suit because X, like A plus B equals C, right? So it's that kind of concept that we've been trained into. That's our logical brain. Our
Yeah.
feeling brain actually knows more. And
Mhm.
so, like, for example, telepathy, you don't have to say anything in order to get your point across because it's not about the words, it's not about the logic, it's not about that. It is truly about the feel.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the feeling is what, and I don't even feel like this is an opinion because I feel like this is how things are set up. But hey, I mean, this is my reality. You guys are just living in it. So so, but I mean, the feeling at the end of the day is so much more powerful. I mean, how many times do you walk into a room and everybody's like got a smile on their face, but it feels so uncomfortable? Every time I walk into the hospital, this is how I feel because I'm like, everybody's laughing, but it feels really uncomfortable in here because people are hurting or there's a underlying anxiety, right? Like, so it's like, you can have like this logical thought of, oh, I'm okay. But if you're feeling like shit, that's what you're going to create. That's what's going to happen. And when I look at like the hospital, for example, it's the same thing, right? Like everybody has a smile on their face, but there's chaos everywhere. And it's
Yeah.
like the underlying feeling of what's actually going on. And to me, the feeling is so much more powerful, like you said, Ashley.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that when people read some of the books that are out there and things like that, like there's Think and Grow Rich, and different types of personal development, it talks more about thinking. And
Yeah.
so that's the reason I think people are so gravitated to that, or like on TikTok, like so many people think that that's like the key factor. But
Mhm.
like when you really dive in and analyze those books, like Think and Grow Rich, for example, like it's saying think and grow rich, but the stories that they tell are people that like acted as if like
Mhm.
fully encompassed it, fully felt it, full like completely. And so if you're just paying attention to like the words said, you're gonna be like, oh, I just have to think these things and it's all gonna work. And then it's like The Secret, like The Secret became very popular and then it became very unpopular because people are like, this isn't working.
Doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, because people were making vision boards and that was it. And
Mm.
then it was like, okay, well, the vision board, there's aspects to that, like feeling as if it already happened, that are going to play the biggest role into actually having it work. But no one talked about that in The Secret.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the embodiment is the piece of it that is probably the most difficult part, right? Because you can have the thought all day long, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am wealthy. But unless your brain and body are talking and your brain and body are in agreement, you're not in alignment to that future. There's no way
Mhm.
you can create that because your brain is saying, I am wealthy, but your body is literally going, I can't pay my bills, like literally living that life, right? And that's what we're going to just keep creating over and over again. And I see that in my life, right? I'm saying this because I see this happening in my life, right? When I fully embody the feeling and the like, oh my God, it's already happening of my future, that is inevitable now. But when I start to like go, oh, like I think I want this, but I don't feel it in my body, it's like it's a miss. It's like how can this even be possible? Um, because it's like you're just, as I said, you're just not aligned to that future. When so many people talk about alignment, and I think that that's another miss within the manifestation community too, because so many people use it as this like hot topic word. And for a long time, I didn't understand what alignment was until I looked at it on a biological level. And I went, it's when your brain and your body are aligned. Hello, like it's when your subconscious mind is saying, "Yeah, this is what I want to create.
Yeah.
This desire you have, yeah, absolutely. I believe that, right?" And the the thing that I think people get so lost in are the words,
Mhm.
and that's how come I feel like honestly, like that's how come I was always gravitated to someone like Dr. Joe because he could explain it on a logical level because that's how our brains are trained. We've been programmed to think like that. And then after I had the logic, I went, oh, that's how come this is this way.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's kind of like you have to have the railroad track in order to run the train, right? If you just try to run the train, you're going to go everywhere. But if you have the railroad track in place that gives you the baseline of what you need to understand, you're going to go where you want to go,
Mhm.
right? So for me, a lot of these hot topic words, even manifestation is a hot topic word that people are like, I don't understand that. Like, it took me a long time to understand too, like, that manifestation is happening 24/7. That took me a long time to figure out because of how it's used, right?
Mhm.
And once I figured it out, I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
always creating from what is going on with me internally.
Yeah.
My internal is what's going on in my external.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense now. Okay, because when you really get honest with yourself, you go, okay, yeah, that actually does make sense. How come my world seems like it's blowing up right now? Because my insides feel like they're blowing up right now. And I can look back at my life and see how whenever I would have times where, okay, my life feels like it's just completely blowing up, and I can like just look internally and go, oh, yeah, that's what's going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I like your analogy of like the train and the train tracks. Like to me, the tracks are your thoughts. You
Mm,
know, your thoughts are what's leading you to where you're going.
mm,
And then the feelings are the gas that are pushing the train where you want to go. And the more in alignment they are, the more gas you have, the more
absolutely.
stronger they are, the more you believe and not doubt that it's as if it already happened and you're feeling it as if it's already happened, the further you're going to go.
Hmm.
But it's you're also going to manifest negative things that way.
Hmm.
If
Absolutely.
you lay down those tracks and like people that are worried about the sky falling, like there's so many things right now that the like media is bombarding us
Oh,
with.
God. Yeah.
Worry about this, worry about that. Like it's unreal.
Yeah.
And so if you're worrying about all those things, we are naturally trained to think as if a bad thing has already happened. Like that's why COVID was so huge, was because we
Hmm.
we believed it as if it had already happened, as if this like massive plague was happening, and the media just fueled that. And so you lay those negative thoughts and tracks down, and that negative feeling is going to fly.
Yeah.
And so that's often why bad things happen faster than good things.
Yeah,
Because
because we've been programmed that way.
yeah, we've been programmed to feel the negative as if it's already here
Mm-hmm.
so well. And so then when we switch and we start telling ourselves like the positive and saying that to ourselves, like I remember when my partner first started like doing money affirmations because he struggled a lot with money, and believing in abundance. He's like, I feel like I'm lying to myself. And so that's the whole thing.
That's what's happening then. He's not in alignment.
And so he's thinking, it's not creating new belief systems.
Right.
He doesn't believe them. He's thinking them. And until he actually felt them and saw it at work, because I believe them. And one of the things that I'm really good at is knowing that money's constantly flowing. And so when he saw it keep flowing into my life over and over again from unexpected ways, he's like, okay, like there's something here. And then he could start somewhere. It's kind of like that ladder progression that we've talked about too. Like start with something that you actually can somewhat believe, you know? Start with a thought and a feeling that's like earlier, not like the $1 million. Start with like, I'm gonna bring in $1,000 from an unknown source, you know, and see that happen and then grow it because then you can match that feeling to it. And so then now for him, he has seen it happen over and over again with large amounts and small amounts. And so now he can actually say to himself and not feel like he's lying to himself. So it's a completely different situation than just thinking. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I think the other piece of it too is important to talk about beliefs
Mhm.
because this also gets people really stuck, right?
Yeah.
So a belief pattern is actually in your subconscious mind. You have little control over it once it's in your subconscious mind, right? Once it's in your subconscious mind, you then have to reprogram it if you don't want that belief pattern anymore, right? Like, and it doesn't have to, but it can take time to get that belief pattern to switch to whatever you want it to be, right? So, a belief pattern, a belief is basically just something that you say or think over and over again, and you are in alignment with it, with your body. Your brain and body say, yep, the house is on fire. I can see it's on fire. Okay, my life is burning down, right? And like you believe it because you see it, right? So, but the belief happens after we have done a certain pattern over and over and over again. Okay, so a belief is something like big girls don't cry,
Yeah.
or there's no crying in baseball, right? Like or like with men sometimes this toxic masculinity of I have to be the provider and that kind of thing, right? So when you believe that and you think it enough and you feel it enough, that is when you create the belief.
Yeah.
That is when you have literally mastered the thought and the feeling, and now you've embodied it. And now that's who you are. That's a belief. So when people say things like you just need to believe more, you can't do it with your conscious mind. It's
Yeah.
impossible unless you're actually training your mind. With your conscious mind, you can train your subconscious mind.
Mhm.
But if you're sitting there going, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, and then literally like 5 minutes later going, oh shit, like you're not rewiring that belief pattern. It's still a pattern in your field, in your world. That is literally what you're going to continue to create because you have aligned to that.
Yeah.
So, um, this is I feel like this is so sticky because one of our mutual mentors who you're working with now, Ashley, I remember him sharing a story years ago where he had a mentor tell him, and he was a mindset mentor, and now he doesn't like mindset, he does other things, right? But he had a mentor tell him you just need to believe more, and he was like, it pissed him off because he was like, what the fuck, like this doesn't make any sense, right? It's I think that person's intentions were good, but the way it was explained didn't really make sense, right? Because it's like, but I do believe this, but your subconscious pattern doesn't show that you believe it, right? And so that means that there's still a little more work to do on that, a little bit more paying attention to how you're responding in certain situations, how you're responding in your life, right? So that I think is like the analogy for me when it was like the alignment of the thought and the feeling creates the belief, and the thought and the feeling have to be in alignment. I have to think I'm wealthy. I have to feel I'm wealthy. And then I create a belief pattern of being wealthy. That's the pattern of creating what you want on a conscious manifestation level, right? Where I have this desire and I want to consciously manifest it. It has to be a thought creating a feeling. And sometimes it's a feeling creating a thought too. Okay. So it can be this cycle of thoughts and feelings, but it can also be feelings and thoughts. The body can also influence our mind, right? How many times has anybody ever had a panic attack and you have literally zero idea how come you're panicking right now? Your body's influencing your mind right now. So now your brain is going to be like, oh my God, we're panicking. I have to think about all the things that make me panic in my life too. I have to think about, oh my God, my dog's dying. Oh my God, I have cancer. Oh my God, I can't pay my bills, right? Like you're going to continue to make more thoughts that influence the way you feel. And you're going to create this huge long panic attack that lasts for maybe 30 minutes, sometimes longer, right? Just because you're thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, and you're doing it over and over and over again. And the moment that you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, I need to stop this, I've been doing this for long enough. The moment that you either intercept with a new thought or a new feeling and you sustain that, this is the hard part, okay? Like, I'm not saying I'm a pro at this either, but when you sustain that is when the pattern can be broken. And the amount of time that you sustain, sometimes it's like, okay, I can sustain this for a minute. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do 2 minutes. Okay, the next day I'm going to go back to a minute because that was hard. So and sometimes this isn't a linear growth either. Sometimes you have this big jump and then this big dive and then a big jump. The question is, are you still going in an upward trajectory with change? Because that is how you create change at the end of the day. Am I still intending to create what I want to create? And this, I think, is another piece where myself included get tripped up on, where it's like, oh man, I really fell hard today. But did you fall as hard as you did when you first started? Like, think about that. Like, think about where you've been. That's how come sometimes things like journaling can be really healthy, because you can see where you've come from, because you've been writing it down. And so now you can look back and be like, ooh, I'm a different person now. And that can really create a whole lot of gratitude with us too. So
And sometimes, because like there is those like inner childhood traumas and those things like that that are like very hardwired, you will fall down as hard as you have, but like once every 5 years,
right.
not
Yeah.
every 5 minutes. And that's like the real thing. Like people always have said, like I've heard a lot of mentors say, like your true test is going home.
Mm.
And so I know for me,
Yeah,
that's
it's not
true.
wrong.
So it's like how when I go home, like how far do I fall back
Yeah.
down? How often am I triggered? And that's like really showing you how that belief system and those issues are still in your body because they're not in your mind. You're not thinking about them in your everyday life. They're in your body. And then you go home and they all come up. And
Mhm.
so just know that like there are going to be times like going home where you feel like you haven't made an ounce of progress. And that is okay. And that is normal too.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's really at the end of the day, it's the intention of continuing. That's
Mhm.
really what
Yeah.
is the difference between success and failure in this sort of situation. Do you just go, oops, I fucked up, and you go, okay, I need to do something about this again tomorrow. I'm just going to go to sleep now, though. It is what it is. Or maybe I need to meditate before I sleep so I can let that go. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's a process, and it's okay to have it be a process. And I don't know all the ins and outs of how come I chose to go through this process, but we all chose to go through this process for
Mhm.
some reason or another.
Mhm.
I don't know how come because it doesn't have to be this way, but it is. We chose this. So now it's like, okay, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to continue to intend to move forward with this?
Yeah. My very off topic question to you is, did we choose all of this, or did we just choose our parents in our initial stage of life? And then everything else is kind of constant choices, constant moving, constant flowing. Or do you think we chose the whole thing?
I mean, there's no way to have a real answer for this,
Of course.
but I do think that we chose a lot of aspects to learning. I think that at the end of the day is what we have chosen to be here for because you learn on a different level when you come into this frequency, right? We've talked about time being the thing that you really have to it's kind of like the Satan of this world, right? Like that's the demon that you're fighting is time in this world. And so I think that on some level we really wanted to learn how that works and how come things work the way they do on a deeper level. Because if you're in the quantum, if you're in source, if you're in the universe, you literally can create instantly. You have the thought, you have the feeling, and it's already manifested.
Mhm.
Here, it can be more of a process. And I think that a lot of us wanted to see that process out to
Mhm.
fully understand that. I really think that that is what it comes down to. Because, yeah, I mean, there's going to be patterns that we see in like our parents that were like, oh, I want to choose to have that experience. And so there's certain patterns in them that we see and we say, yeah, I like that. I want to learn about that. But I think at the end of the day, I do think that it's all of it. I
Mhm.
think that it's like how do I continue to create and manifest in a different frequency?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a intention of like this is kind of like because I do believe when we're born, like our astrology, our numerology, like it's always pretty bang on, you know?
Hmm.
So I do think like for us, like it's trust and openness and all that kind of stuff. So I think when we are born, we're picking when we're being born and we're
Hmm.
picking whom too. And there is going to be attributes that we can obviously see like this is the dynamic between these two people, this is the life path it's going to be, like generally speaking. And then I think that we are knowing when we're coming out, whether it's astrology wise or numerology wise, like numerology is very big with our shared mentor as well, of like really being able to decode everything. And so I think that that really does set a certain trajectory for our life. And then I think everything after that is in flow. Um, I think that we're born with those core like desires and core, this is who we are, but everything can completely change.
Yeah, I
Whatever
mean,
it's.
and that to me comes down to the desire to what we want to manifest, right? So, so yeah, I really think. I mean, who can really answer this question while you're in this frequency? But I really think that it's like the desire to learn how to manifest in that different frequency, how to create on, because let's be honest, gravity makes us more dense, and that
Mhm.
density creates a resistance and it creates a polarity. And
Yeah.
so it's different. Like it's just different than creating when we're in quantum and source. Cause I mean, you read the Bible talks about how God created. It was a thought, he created it. It was a
Mhm.
thought, a feeling, he created it. The end, right? So, and that's how we create. That's
Yeah.
literally how we create when we realize who we are, that we are that oneness, we
Mhm.
create like that. right?
Yeah.
Like we go, oh yeah. But when we come into this density, it's like we forget that we're connected because of the illusion that we see around us. There's
Mhm.
this separation that we like get really disillusioned by, and we think, oh, I'm separate from that person, I'm separate from the grass or the air or whatever, like, no, that is you. That's a reflection of what you're thinking and feeling. It's what's going on within you right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I kind of
Yeah.
look at my house right now and I'm like, yeah, this is a reflection of me right now because it's a freaking tornado.
No, and that's what they say. They always say like your living environment like is a reflection of your insides. And so
Mm,
this two ways. So I remember having a mentor who was this beautiful, beautiful woman. Like I still look up to her so much. And um she would she had this story where she went into this lady's house and everything was like mint perfect, like
mm,
just like everything was in place, and she had a coffee table and she had magazines spread out like in a fan kind of thing, like perfectly fanned out. And so this lady was like, oh, aren't these some cute magazines, and picked one up and then put it down outside the fan, and then the lady went and fixed it and put it perfectly back into the fan. And then she was like, oh, I like this one too. And she moved it around again. And so she did this like 2 or 3 times in total. And the lady then was like, I really like them to look this certain way. And so her whole reason for sharing this story was about how like we just need to let be and let life happen
yeah,
and be on the ride and like not be like, I need to control this. It
right.
has to be this way and this strive for perfectionism. And so you can go into some people's houses. And so my mom's, for example, her house is always perfect. It always is. Like, especially now that she doesn't have kids. And but she has this desire to control and
Yeah.
have everything look good because she grew up wearing the ugliest, worst clothes that never fit
Mm,
because her parents didn't have money. They spent it all on alcohol and cigarettes
mm,
and gambling and were not present parents, and she felt like her outward appearance and the way her house looked was embarrassing.
mm,
And so even like to this day, like she wants me to look a certain way because it's a reflection of her.
mm,
And so there's this like if we can look good, we are good,
mm,
this childhood trauma feeling in her, and her house always looks good because that's what she can control, because if it looks good, it is good, if that makes sense.
mm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so it can go both ways
It
for sure.
can. Yeah.
So it's a reflection, her house is a reflection in her inner health, her inner child, and it's not showing up as healthy, but it's not showing up like a scattered mess like mine. So it's like we need to find a balance between the two
Hmm.
of like it's nice, it's organized, it's clean, I think that that is good, but it doesn't have to be that way,
Right.
you
Right.
know
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's there's a difference between I want to have a nice looking home because it makes me feel good,
Yeah.
and I need a nice looking home because I'm coming from a place of perfection and control.
Yeah, it's always balance. I mean, when you have polarity one way or the other, I mean, look at politics. You have polarity one way or another, you just cause a lot of division. Same thing with cleaning your house or creating a new belief pattern or manifesting what it is that you desire, right? There's always a balance to it. And we can easily tip one way or the other. So, like with manifesting, there's such a balance between the desire of what you want and releasing it to the universe to say, you give me what I know I desire.
Mhm.
Right? Like, and there is a balance between the two because if you go too far in, I let this go, you're not going to give a fuck and you're not going to do anything. Right? Like, and that isn't going to help manifest what you want. But if you go too far in the desperate, I need to have this, that desperation also pushes it away. So
Yeah.
there's this fine balance which is sometimes not easy to find because sometimes we think we're in that balanced place. And really, it's like, actually, I was trying to control too much, or actually, I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't focused on the task at hand. Right. And so it's just, it's such a balancing act. And it's always asking yourself, okay, can I let this go? Or do I need to get my head, put my head down and kind of put more focus into my intention? Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not even my focus on the work, it's more the focus on the intention.
Hmm.
Because I do think the intention is what manifests at the end of the day. So finding your balance, I mean, for me, the only way I really could fully figure out what does that balance feel like was in meditation. Simply because I didn't realize how stressed out I was.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I didn't realize until I stopped doing a lot of things and I went, oh, my body was completely stressed and that wasn't working for me anymore. So yeah, it's wild how we don't even always know what's going on in our body until we sit still in the present moment.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think that's where like to grounding is so important.
Hmm.
And like um being able to be bored. Like when my
Hmm.
kids tell me they're bored, I'm like, that's great.
Good. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I'm like, that's when your brain gets imaginative. That's when your brain connects. And I'm like, that's a wonderful thing. And so, like, to me, we get programmed. And I know I was programmed like this hardcore. And this is one of the biggest blessings of my accident was I was programmed to do. And I
Hmm.
was constantly going, constantly doing. And now with our like screen time, it's like you always have something happening. Like your brain is never calm. Your brain is never like digesting and grounding
Hmm.
and having time to cipher. And that's what meditation really truly gives you is that time to like
Yes.
thwart and that time to ground and that time to make connections and really figure things out. And the better part of our more effective part of meditation is it's guided. So there's more of an intention behind it
Hmm.
to do that in a positive way and to up level as well. But really, what our brain just needs is time. And most of us, especially with cell phones, do not give it time.
Right.
Like, how many people can like literally just sit still? Like this is one of the things that I really want my partner to learn. If I could like wave a magical wand, this would be the thing for him. Because he was taught, my parents the same way were taught, as was I. But my accident stifled this is that you have to be busy or you're lazy. And
Yeah.
so the other day he's like, oh, come out and have coffee on the porch with me. So I come out and I'm sitting there, no phone, just drinking my
Just
coffee.
being, yeah.
Nothing going on, just watching the world around me. And he all of a sudden is getting up and fixing the sprinkler. All of a sudden getting up and pulling a weed because he can't just sit.
Mhm.
And while being motivated is great and being driven is great, but there
Right.
also needs to be a time where you can just be too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And it's a process. It's a process of noticing, ooh, like yesterday was my day where I was like on because I was like, I have so much that I would like to complete. But
Yeah.
what I needed to do was just say, it's okay to stop.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways, so this was a good conversation, but friends, we're going to call it here. So if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscribe and let us know in the comment what your thoughts are. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead, give us a 5-star. Let us know once again what you want to hear from us in the future or what your thoughts were in the comments. So with that, we're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. See everyone next time. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us and don't forget to subscribe.